And therefore, I want to take the opportunity to welcome you to Cohort 26, Global Leadership Network Masterclass Cohort 26. This will be a Sunday session. We'll be meeting every Sunday, different timings for different countries, but all the same. We are here for the same goal, and I'm sure these discussions will be enriched by our participation and also the content and the book review that we are undertaking every week. So I'll give you a background, but before that, we'll start with our prayer, then we'll be able to move on. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, we are grateful for this opportunity. We pray that as we continue with this engagement on this critical topic of leadership, the Lord will be able to guide our discussion. We're praying that enrich us, and more importantly, God, may you work in us. May you help us to be able to internalize whatever we are learning, and also to practice whatever we are learning for the benefit of your kingdom, and more importantly, for the benefit of the people that you have entrusted to us. Guide our discussions as we proceed. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. So I think already we've had a brief of our introduction, a brief of who we are. We'll still do another introduction later on once we have more people on board. But I think for now, we'll just want to start with the introduction part. We look at what we expect from these discussions. As I mentioned, we'll do the recording. We'll also share the recording after the discussions. In between the discussions, there will be a lot of engagements. There are a few issues that we'll also want to share our experiences, and at the same time also probably be able to share what we are feeling is part of the key takeaway from our discussion. So allow me just to do an overview to appreciate and also to have a common understanding in terms of what we expect. And then after the overview, we'll get back to another session of introduction so that we are able to connect. We connect with each other from a much closer understanding. So this is becoming a global leader. Becoming a global leader. This is the title of the masterclass. The masterclass is becoming a global leader. Why we decided to start this masterclass, I'll be able to point out. But basically, we want to stretch our outreach to the global perspective, to the global thinking, to the global packaging, and also to the global market. And that's the thinking behind this masterclass. And that's why we are stretching it, not just to Kenya, but we have one of us from Zimbabwe, we have one of us from Malaysia, from US, from Rwanda, and also we expect another one from Tanzania to be joining us. That's the thinking behind this. And our slogan is, we need to think global, lead local, transform the world. This will be the key slogan in our discussions. And this is what guides the packaging of this program. We were packaging this for the global audience. And that's the same thing we are passing to the leaders that we are equipping, that we need to continuously think global, lead local. Lead local, basically, we are saying, are there initiatives, are there gaps, are there opportunities that needs to be leveraged? Then that becomes our obligation just to take the opportunity from that level and then grow it to the global perspective. And at the end of the day, we are doing this for transformation of the people we are leading, transformation of the world, and transformation of the communities within our leadership environment. And we believe that a better leader is a better life, because leadership, we are cascading it to a personal level, and then we expand it to other domains. So a better leader is a better life, a better leader is a better family. As we better our leadership, we are bettering our community, we are bettering our countries, and we are bettering the world at large. John Maxwell says that everything rises and falls on leadership. That's why we feel that this is a discussion that actually should be included at all levels, be it at levels of education, levels of at society, in society. And society, we are saying levels from a family foundation all the way to the global perspective. It's a discussion that we appreciate, that as we continue to equip more leaders, actually we are able to add more value and also priorities this kind of discussions wherever we are. So we are working towards equipping leaders globally. And as we undertake this masterclass, we aim that we are able to optimize our leadership potential. All of us, we are at a particular level. We're at a particular level. If you look at this diagram there, that's a high jump. We continue adding, climbing the levels. So today, I'm sure as you join this masterclass, you are somewhere. But the masterclass aims at trying to help us probably to add one more step in terms of optimizing our leadership potential. One more steps probably in terms of improving our leadership styles. So this will be what we'll be scanning through this content, this interaction. We'll be looking at the opportunities. Why are the opportunities that I can be able to optimize? Is there something new that I've learned that I need to incorporate in my leadership? Is there something new that I've read in the book review, which I need to run with? And all this is anchored towards optimizing our leadership potential. There are few concepts that are very important when it comes to issues of leadership, and I want to pick it probably from the biblical perspective. We deal with people from different backgrounds. Sometimes we equip people who are not Christians, and therefore we pick this as principles, and we refer to the scriptures as well as to also other valuable content that adds value to our discussions. So in Proverbs 28:2, when the country or organization is in chaos, everybody has a plan to fix it, but it takes a leader of real understanding to straighten things out. The key word there is a leader of real understanding. So as we continue to engage, we'll also be looking at the opportunities of deepening our understanding in this subject of leadership, and also deepening our experience in terms of how we can be able to better our leadership. And then Ecclesiastes 10:9, if the axe is dull and one does not sharpen its edge, then he must exert more strength, but wisdom helps him succeed with less effort. So we realized, and through our interaction with various leaders, that there are those leaders that probably they were appointed or they were nominated, but they didn't get an opportunity to be sharpened in terms of skills, in terms of knowledge, and also in terms of exposure and experience. And they struggle to lead. We have had discussions where leaders who are actually even giving up, especially those who are volunteering in the church setups. Some of them are really tired. They feel like, wow, we are using too much strength, yet we are getting very little output or even impact. And when we discuss with such leaders, especially the appointing authority, we request them to allow us, just to give us an opportunity to sharpen these leaders, to interact with these leaders, to stretch them, to add a few points here and there, just to help them contextualize all these issues of leadership. And then after that, we realize, wow, they are using less effort. They're actually enjoying the journey. Yeah, they're enjoying the journey because there are times when we lack content, maybe we might use other strategies to speak to our leaders that may not be very motivational, may not be inspiring them. It might demoralize them instead of encouraging them. So that's why we come in just to spend some time with leaders and say, can we sharpen ourselves? And that will help us to use less effort, but achieve more impact in our leadership. And I think Abraham Lincoln put this very well when he said that if he had 6 hours to chop down a tree, he would spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. If he had 6 hours to chop down a tree, he would spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. And sometimes this works in reverse. We find maybe that those leaders who maybe they didn't get the time to sharpen themselves, and therefore the 6 hours, they are using the 6 hours to lead, which becomes very hard. It becomes very difficult, it becomes very strenuous. But if we can reverse this and spare time for development, personal growth, then from there, we're able to actually be more impactful in our leadership. And Stephen Covey, the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he says, sharpen, one of these principles is sharpen the saw. Sharpen the saw. He teaches us to take the time to stop and sharpen our saw. Sharpening the saw is synonymous with self-care, is self-improvement, self-renewal, or self-development. And if we embrace this, we realize that our leadership becomes more enjoyable and also more impactful. So what is the goal of this masterclass? What is the goal of this masterclass? One is to allow leaders to pause and reflect on the critical role of leadership. The critical role of leadership. That, as John Maxwell says, leadership, everything rises and falls on leadership. And therefore, this is a critical, it's a critical topic, it's a critical discussion. And sometimes we feel probably it's not given the weight it deserves, the priority that it deserves. And therefore, we feel that through this discussion, we are able to actually upscale our appreciation of this critical discussion about leadership. Two is to bridge the leadership gap. We'll talk about the leadership gap later on. And then to enhance self-care, we are blocking Saturday or Sunday, a maximum of 2 hours. Sometimes we do 1 hour, 30 minutes, but on the higher side, we can do 2 hours. So we are blocking these 2 hours for our own self-care as leaders in this group. And then develop dynamic leadership culture. Dynamic leadership culture. We are living in a dynamic world, and a dynamic world calls for a dynamic leader. You can see what happened the COVID season, where things were moving so rapidly. And I think leaders had to think on their feet. That's what we're calling dynamic leaders. Sometimes we have to make critical decisions, not in boardroom, but on the field there. We have to make critical decisions on the scene of crime, on the scene of calamity. We have to think on our feet. And a dynamic leader is a leader also who is well versed with what is happening in terms of the internal environment and the external environment. Then to cultivate resilience in leaders, this is important because as leaders, we know we face bumps here and there. And how do we keep on bouncing back along the way without giving up? I've seen great leaders who went through a lot of challenges, but at the end of the day, they emerged as winners because they didn't give up. And then we also aim at promoting networking and collaboration. We use this platform just to also enhance our networking and collaboration. I could hear Rose and Monica already starting to take that angle of how to collaborate and in terms of learning on issues of nutrition and others. So that's the thinking behind this masterclass. We also have physical sessions where we are able to have team building experience. So what is the scope or applicability of this content or this masterclass? Where can we apply it? We can apply it at a personal level, a self-leader. Can also apply it at the inner circle leadership, where we are leading a small team, or a small team can be a family or a team of friends or chamas or a small organization. Also, we can apply it in team leadership or organization leadership, and it's also applicable to the community leadership. So this is something, or is content, or is a program that is holistic, and anybody can be able to fit in and be able to apply this content in different leadership spaces. There are key attitudes of focus. This will be more of keywords that will be repeated in our discussions, and they include words like generational thinking. They include words like global focus, purpose-centered, vision-driven, strategic thinking, and transformation. And these are key concepts that every leader need to continuously appreciate, think through, and work along the thinking that emanates from these keywords. So these are live pictures of events we have had in the past as part of our team building. Again, we are focusing a lot in networking. I was very happy when we were having this team building out there and we were able to come up with a network. And I always look at this picture and I say, this is what we exist for, to create a global network of leaders who are able to make impact wherever we are. Issues of collaboration are important, and then creativity and innovation. We embrace learning and relearning. Every leader ought to embrace these key aspects, the aspect of continuous learning. And then at some point, we also appreciate the aspect of unlearning, especially when it comes to strategies, because maybe there are strategies that have worked for us to a certain level. And as we move forward, those strategies might need to be unlearned, and we need to relearn new strategies, especially in the global in the global village. A lot of shifts, a lot of issues are happening, be it political, be it economic. Things are shifting so fast because of technology. So a lot of learning and unlearning is important for a leader who will remain with a competitive advantage. And then relearning. So this is something that, again, in this discussion, we'll want to look at these issues, because at some point, there are issues that will be doing a lot of self-reflection, and we'll be able to see, wow, I think I've held to this principle for so long. It's a good one, but I think now I need to see, is there any other way I can upgrade? I can upgrade myself. So the structure, what is the structure of this masterclass? One, we have coursework, and coursework is based on the book that I shared, Becoming a Global Leader. So I think by now we all have this book, either in soft copy or in hard copy. Sorry. So this is our coursework book. We'll cover 16 modules in this book. Yeah, and we'll be guiding you. The discussions that we'll be having on Sunday will be based on this book. And then we'll be having weekly book review. This week we already had our first book review, and in between the session we'll pause a little bit just to discuss on a few takeaways from the book review. And then stage 3, we'll have a project proposal. We'll do a project proposal. This will be in groups, where we look at an issue, a gap, an opportunity within the society that we can be able to bridge by offering a solution. And then stage 4, we'll have a course evaluation at the end. We had stage 5, which we have not operationalized, the issues of benchmarking, where we are able to probably visit 1 or 2 countries that we feel we can learn a lot in terms of leadership. So leaders, this is the masterclass structure. Level 1 in the book, Becoming a Global Leader, level 1 is more of self-awareness, because every growth starts from self-awareness. We are all at different level at this particular time, but I'm sure the tools, the skills will probably help us just to deepen our self-awareness starting from where we are. Then level 2, we look at redefining leadership. We'll look crisscross different thinking about leadership, as we also try to bring it to a more customized understanding about leadership. Level 3, we look at core leadership competences, developing and deploying my leadership. These are the core topics of leadership that will be handled at level 3. Issues like the power of vision in leadership, the power of purpose, among others. And then level 4, is equipping other leaders. We'll continue to urge you that the knowledge you're acquiring, please be also ready to share with the leaders, either in small groups or even when we call you back to come and help us in facilitation. So this is that's the structure. This is a 12 weeks discussion. So we'll work together for 12 weeks, meeting only on Sunday. That's once per week, a maximum of 2 hours, and then it's virtual. We have other cohorts that are running. We have cohort 23 on Tuesday, cohort 24 on Thursday. We have cohort 25 on Saturday, and then we have cohort 26, which is now this session. Now, as part of the introduction, we have a purpose statement. And if you are in a position to open your manual, I'll request you to open your manual in on page 3. On page 3, if you're in a position to open your manual, that's where we have the purpose statement of this masterclass. Page 3. And maybe we can just scan through together. And we are saying perhaps no arm is vital to champion transformational reforms than leadership. Yeah, any reforms are driven by leadership, driven by a leader. So while a nation's or an organization's or even an individual resources may determine its potential, it is the leadership that ultimately unlocks that potential and determines the success level of the nation, organizations, and its people. There are people who are endowed with resources. There are countries that are endowed with resources. There are continents. There are even organizations. But again, how to unlock the potential of that person or that organization or that country, that role is placed on leadership. And that's why we are saying if you have to unlock the potential, then this has to be anchored on the issues of leadership. So the purpose of this leadership training program is to empower individual leaders to activate and optimize their leadership potential, and of those they lead. The goal is to empower leaders as trustees who will empower other leaders. This is in line with the biblical principle in 2 Timothy 2:2. And the things you have heard me say in the presence of many witnesses, and trust to reliable people who will also be qualified to teach others. And we say that together we can accomplish too much as long as we do not care who gets the credit, because all of us are working for one objective, and that's to be able to optimize the potential and glorify God. So our goal is to equip leaders as agents to transform the world. So that's our purpose statement. Then we have the commitment. The commitment is in page number 7. Page number 7. If you have your manual, you can go together there. So for us to maximally benefit from these sessions, there are a few commitments just to think through. One of them is, allow me just to read them together with you. I will attend the sessions consistently, on time, and prepared. That's the only way we can maximize and benefit more. I will share my personal experience and maintain confidentiality of discussions. Sometimes we share our own personal experiences, which again should just be for the purpose of learning. I will respect and honor other people's opinion. If need be, I will objectively critique with a view to learn or enrich discussions. So we deal with the leaders, and what we say is that there is no perspective that is wrong. We only look at different perspectives, enrich the perspective, or come up with a new perspective that probably will help us to look at issues from a different perspective. So we normally say that we do not criticize, but we critique. We look at how do we add value in our discussions. Number 4, I'll be open to change, to learn and relearn. And then number 5, I commit to share the knowledge entrusted to me to other reliable people who will also be qualified to teach others. So those are our 5 commitments. Those of us who have the physical copy, you see there's somewhere you can sign. And if you don't have your physical copy, if you're able to also print that page and sign just for your own personal reference, I think you can also do that. So you can sign there and put today's date and your signature. And then in every session, we have what we call a leadership challenge. So every session, there's a leadership challenge. We'll see that from lesson 1. So for the introduction, this is the leadership challenge. I commit to be a transformational, purpose-driven leader who not only knows the way and goes the way, but also inspires others to embark on their journey of purpose towards the fulfillment of their vision. That's sort of a commitment that we are making together as leaders, to be able to know the way, go the way, but more importantly, also show continuously or continue to show the way. Nothing of value comes without a cost. What is the cost? The first cost is time. 12 weeks, meeting for 2 hours. And in most cases, I find this to be one of the highest cost for leaders. Time. Time is one of the highest cost for leaders. I remember there's one cohort when we opened, I mentioned this, and then towards the end, one of the leaders was telling me, indeed, what I have paid most here is time. Time has been one of the tricky part of the engagement. So time is one of the cost, the key cost. There's a financial component because of the printing and a few other things. Then authenticity. We'll share again, as I said, personal experiences. So relationally, there's an element of cost where we accept to be vulnerable, so that we can be able to help one person maybe to be able to learn learn from our experience. Every week we'll have a weekly self-evaluation. This will be a link that will be posted on the WhatsApp group, so you can look at that link. You'll confirm, maybe if you attended the session, you can just say, yes, I was there. This is important for us because at the end of the program, we also need to be able to have a record of all our participants. Then timely attendance. This is important, especially for us as leaders. This is really critical. So our time is 2 p.m. For US is 7 a.m. For Malaysia is 7 p.m. For Zimbabwe is 1 p.m. And then for Tanzania is also 2 p.m. For Rwanda is 1 p.m. So the timing will be different. And then timely book review. We have a deadline for submission. So if you submit by that time, again, you'll just say yes. If you submit even after, you can still be able to fill the questionnaire, but again, we indicate. And then timely manual book review. Timely manual review. When we go through a session, we encourage you to be able to review the session because you might miss to answer all the blank spaces, but the answers are there at the end of every lesson. So after the class, you can spare maybe a few minutes just to be able to fill some blank spaces which you might have missed out. And that is what we are calling timely manual review before next class. That one we don't check. We allow you just to do it at your own pace. So the weekly book review chapters, we'll also be sharing this. We have a schedule, and they are aligned to the manual. So we'll be posting which chapters we need to review. Like this week, we were reviewing chapter 1 and chapter 3. Chapter 1 and chapter 3. So we were skipping chapter 2 because we are aligning them with the manual. What is your obligation? I think for us, we'll always try to make sure that we are there on time and prepared as facilitators. What we request from you is to focus more on results. For example, if it's a book review, to try as much as possible to ensure at least we have done what is required by the time that we are meeting. If it's filling the weekly link, also to try as much as possible to do that. Why I liked this quote by Robert Anthony. From the day I learned this quote, I started looking at things from, I think, a different perspective. And this is what he says, that you can only have two things in life, reasons and results. But reasons don't count. And his thinking was, by the time maybe I'm giving a reason, already that time has elapsed. And therefore, maybe I may not be able to do much compared to someone who did something and presented. It may not be complete, but that person at least had some results. And I think as leaders, we know what this means when we are leading our people in different areas. Maybe you've given someone an assignment, you really want to see, did that person attempt, did that person come up with something? And then you're able to pick and help the person from where the person has been able to reach and onward. So we want to really focus so much on the results, and then trade-off. We are trading off our time, trading off our resources, so that we can be able to sit together and learn. And then consistency. Consistency is important, especially in our participation and also in our attendance. So as we go through this, there's a study method that we normally adopt. We call it LACT. So if you are reviewing a book, you are reviewing the book, the Purpose-Driven Leader book, you can use this study method. If you are looking at the PowerPoint, you can also use this. If you are reviewing your manual, you can also use this study method. So maybe there is something that you have come across in the book, you feel it's new information. You can put there an L, something that you have learned maybe for the first time, or a different perspective that you are learning for the first time. So L means this is something that I have learned, might be new, and therefore maybe I might need to research more. So this might be new information, new knowledge that probably you feel I need to revisit and learn and probably research more. A stands for apply, something that you feel, wow, I need to apply this. This is for application. So where you put an A is application. Yeah. And then C is change, something that you feel I need to adjust. Maybe I've been doing things in a certain way, I've been leading in a certain way, and I feel maybe from this point forward, I need to probably adopt a different approach. And then T, when you put a T, that means is something or a concept that you need to teach. You need to teach. Maybe you need to share with your team. You're committing to teach other people. So this is the study method that we'll be using. And we are saying the proof of knowledge is in application. So the more we continue to work through this study method and see how to apply, then the more we're able to benefit from this masterclass. By the 12 weeks, we hope that all of us will be like those two guys up there at the mountain. Those guys who have conquered the mountain. We'll be able to celebrate together and say, yes, we did it. Yes, we did it. I'll assure you the program stretches us because already your entry, I'm sure, your entry is full. Yet there's another item that is coming on board. So, but we say this program is for busy people. This program is actually for busy people. And I find busy people actually doing very well. They're able to do book reviews, they're able to do all this because already they are very good in time management. So we hope that we'll keep at it until we get to where those two guys are and celebrate together in 12 weeks. So I want to welcome you to the Global Leadership Network Masterclass. Feel welcome. And allow me just to probably pause here. Just pause here for 5 minutes so that we are able now to also share our self-introduction. And we have a structure there, which you might adopt the same, but also feel free just to maybe adopt another structure. So you can feel free to mention your name and also the country, profession, and one essential quality every leader ought to display. That one quality that you feel is critical for every leader, feel free to mention that. You can also mention your expectation. I know already we have them, but if there's an additional one, please feel free just to mention any expectation. So if you're able to have your video on when you are introducing yourself, I think that also will be good. Because we are saying this is also part of networking. So your name, your profession, one essential quality, and expectation. So let me start with Rose Washira, and then I'll move on to Monica, and we'll proceed that way. Karibu and
all right. Yes. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yes, I'm Rose, as introduced. I am based in the U.S. And as a career, for my career, I'm a nutritionist or a dietitian. So I believe in what we are studying today, that we are to empower each other. and empower the next generation. So a good leader should be able to design and see what they can do in order to empower the next generation, and be able to pass that baton so that the other leaders, the younger leaders, can come up. So I believe this class will empower me. Already, as we were talking, I was having ideas of what else I could do in my own, career or in my own life, to promote what I've been believing in and haven't been able to maybe reach out to more people. So that's what I expect as we finish the class. I'm sure I'm gonna get better ideas and be able to increase my reach, or the people that I can reach. So I hope I answered all the questions. I might have missed one.
Yeah, the one quality, I think we already mentioned that, empowering. I think empowerment is one of the qualities, one essential quality every leader ought to display.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody with inspiration, somebody who can inspire others, somebody who is more serving to the community. So those are the qualities I would think a leader has.
And maybe your book, can mention also you have a book.
Oh yeah, I'm forgetting good things. So I'm a new author. I actually did write a book called Nutrition and Health, and the subtitles of Fighting Diabetes, Cancer, and Heart Disease, which have overwhelmed our country and most people in Kenya. So the book is easy to find on Amazon, but also available in Nairobi in a bookstore. What is the name of the bookstore? I know it's on Moi Avenue. But I do have contact numbers for anybody who would be interested in that book. And that's the kind of information that I would like to take from, to take to others in a different package where they are going to benefit from it more. So as a leader, I should be able to reach more populations and be able to have others who can do that, and then inspire others to do the same thing that I'm doing. Yes.
Thank you so much. I know we'll engage more, and I will continue to share more.
Yes.
Well, we appreciate. Okay, let me move on to Monica Mtinda. Monica Mtinda. I think as I check on Monica, we can now move on to Pastor Abel.
Thank you, Pastor. I'm trying to connect my video, but my gadget is saying that it's failing to access my video. So I'll continue trying, but I can see you. I can see Rose.
Yeah.
I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
I'm only having this technicality of my video. My gadget is saying it's unable to access my video, but I'll continue trying. But as for me, the one quality that I need to learn and that I believe we need to have as leaders is the teachability spirit. That's why even as busy as we are, we need to find time to sit. We are always busy out there teaching other people and impacting other people, but we also need to sit down and be at a place where we can also be taught and have the teachability spirit. As for career, I've been with the Air Force of Zimbabwe as a helicopter pilot, but now I'm leaving. I'm now also running a junior school close to my community, and I'm also running a children's home where we are taking care of orphans with my wife. My desire is to impact and to transform other people's lives. I believe that's the grace that God has given me. Is there anything I could have left out?
I think that's good enough. You've mentioned you're in Zimbabwe, and you're also a pastor there.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's good enough for now. Pastor will continue sharing more along the way.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining. Let me get back to Monica again, and Monica, welcome.
Thank you. Sorry, I was not able to unmute myself the first time. My name is Monica Katunge Mutinda. I can say I'm a born again, a child of God. I am a mother of 3 children and a wife to 1 husband. I'm working in Malaysia as an accountant, certified public accountant. And what I can say, because I mentioned my name, my country, and also the profession as an accountant, I want to say that I've not written any book, but I've been longing to write a book. And every time I try, I find myself not able to get started. And every time I feel like I want to start, I also get many topics which are coming, but there's one which I've upheld. And this time, just joining this leadership program and commit myself that I can get started. Otherwise, my qualities, as I've talked about my profession, I'm so much passionate in my work, which I carry out with a lot of integrity and transparency. And in most cases, I keep myself off to those issues which can compromise my stand. And it is in this which I'm going now to build on to see how I can inspire others. As you know, my field, as I'm working with the public sector, there is a lot which need to be shaped, and also guidelines to be laid for better ways of doing things. And this comes mostly when we understand ourselves and the purpose why we live. And I'll be talking so much on the beauty that I got when I started thinking about myself and also extending to reach others. So I am here just expecting that I'll get started. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Monica, and welcome. You are in the midst of others, so I'm sure this is a good platform to discuss more about that desire to write a book and how we are able to assist each other. Good. So let me move on to Leonard Ngeleja. Greetings and welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Pastor Leonard Ngeleja. I'm in Tanzania, and I am the pastor, one of the pastors of the Pentecostal churches here in Tanzania, but also working with the East Africa community at the secretariat, which is here in Arusha. My professional, I'm the IT specialist. So specializing in developing systems and managing ICT infrastructures. Yeah. The quality that I think a leader must have is character. You know, when you are a leader, you have followers, you have people who are looking after you. So what will sustain your leadership is character. So every leader have to live up to the standard which is expected, and maintain what he says and what he does. So that is what I think is the quality that the leader must have. So in my area, both in the ministry and the professional work, I uphold character and demonstrate wherever I am. Yeah. This leadership program is so important to me because it is in line with what I do in my ministry. I'm the vision bearer of Mwangaza Pentecostal Church and the Mwangaza Hope Foundation. So I have two in one. The church deals with building people spiritually, but I have a foundation which is focused in empowering youth and also teaching people life skills. We know, especially most of our Pentecostal churches have a very big challenges, especially in regards to what is spread out now as prosperity gospel. So people do not want to work. You know, they just believe and pray. But what I believe in, what the heart of my ministry is centered around holistic evangelism. So people should be taught the spiritual issues, but also they need to understand that there is a responsibility that goes with in order to succeed in life. It's not about having only faith in God without working. So that is where my ministry is centered. I normally organize events that bring people and teach them life skills, how to succeed in life. I normally pick people who have succeeded in life and come share the experience, share the journey. How did they arrive there? So that is how we do, and that is where my calling is centered. So yeah, that is what I have. I have not authored any book yet, but I have materials which focus in 4 areas, 4 or 5 areas. The first area is identifying your potentials and developing them. That is what I normally teach. I also teach in life vision, where how can you develop your own life vision. When you hear about Mwangaza, there is a history behind it. Mwangaza is light, which means when we are in this ministry, people get to know what to do in life and what to focus on. So the area of visioning is also part of my teachings, but I also teach issues have to do with how to build your own economic power, because you can have a vision, you can have talents, you can have potentials, but if you don't have the financial muscles, you cannot move ahead. But also we know in life you cannot move alone and succeed. You need people, and bringing people together, you need the leadership skills that are required to make a good team that can accomplish something. So that is how I am. Thank you very much. I hope you have gotten what I had. I am, and yeah, that is who I am. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pastor Leonard. Leaders already, you can appreciate there's so much to learn from each other. I think already we've been able to pick a few things from Rose, from Pastor Leonard. And Pastor Leonard, those are powerful books. Those are really powerful books. I think we need to talk more and see how we can help each other to make sure those materials are available for people. Rose, we worked with Rose, and she was able to launch her book last year. Personally, I've authored about 13 books, and we're still doing more. We're still empowering more because that's one channel that we can use to be able to help the community in terms of having content that can be able to build them. So leaders, you'll allow me, I think after that introduction, just to move on. In the normally we try to handle lesson 1 and 2 and introduction together. So just allow me to move on. But again, I want to mention that the chat platform is open. So if there is something that comes out very strong, so that we continue interacting, just share it on the chat. But in between the session, I'll be able to pause. Today we plan to look at introduction, then lesson 1 and 2. Lesson 1 and 2 are not long, so we can be able to manage them within maybe the next 40 minutes. So allow me just to move on as we work together. So lesson 1 is basically, we are talking about essentials of leadership. This is the background. We are setting a background for these discussions. And I'll be able to introduce some of the key terms that will keep on recurring, but they're also part of some of the qualities, some of the roles, some of the identities of a leader. So this will form, will encourage or enhance our discussion or inform our discussion until to the very end. And there's this story of JFK and the janitor. JFK and the janitor, 35th president of US, and the janitor, just a cleaner. The cleaner was just doing his work perfectly within a certain space. And the story helps us to understand the importance of why. The why behind what we do, including the why of our discussions here, the why of probably being in this class. So this is how the story goes. The president, John F. Kennedy, was visiting NASA headquarters, and we know NASA headquarters with space exploration and research in terms of scientific research in various areas. So when he was visiting this institution, he came across this janitor who was mopping the floor. And then he asked the janitor, "What are you doing at NASA? What are you doing at NASA?" So the president has walked to NASA headquarters, he's taking a tour, walking around. He meets this janitor mopping the floor, and then he poses this question to the janitor: "What are you doing at NASA?" Maybe some of us have heard this story. Maybe some of us are hearing this story for the first time. But I don't know if it's the first time, what could be the possible answers that this janitor would have given? If you already know the story, maybe you can just pause a little bit, and then we'll be able to also get the actual answer. But if you just try to think through, what do you think was the response of this janitor? The president has asked, "What are you doing at NASA?" And the cleaner or the janitor is doing his role. President poses the question. What do you think could be the possible answers? Either on the chat or just unmute and just mention.
This is Rose. I believe most people would not have given such a high quality answer. They would have said, "Well, I'm just a cleaner." I mop the floors, and others are working on sending people to the moon. But he actually was a team player. He was part of what the mission was. He wasn't just a janitor. He said, I am working to send somebody to the moon. So he was including himself with the scientists, with the people who are mathematicians. It didn't matter to him. He was part of that team. And maybe that's the culture of that environment or that company, NASA, that he was able to feel like, I am part of this team. I may be a janitor, but what I'm doing will get somebody to the moon. So he had a role to play, and he it was powerful. It was empowering just to see the answer that he gave to the president. Even the president was impressed with that. Yes.
Thank you, Rose. Actually, why this story was documented is because of the answer that this janitor gave. It was an intelligent answer. He said, I'm helping put a man on the moon. Ordinarily, probably there are some who would have just defined the role, not the bigger picture. But this janitor didn't look at mopping in isolation with the vision of the organization. And we like starting with this story because we feel that the culture in this organization had really valued the role that each person was playing. The janitor understood his role, he understood the vision of the organization, and he also had a bigger picture of what he was feeding into. And this is important for every leader as we try to ensure that the people are able to appreciate the bigger picture. I realize that when people appreciate the bigger picture, they're even more motivated. They become intrinsically motivated to be able to do their role, because they're not seeing their role. Maybe if an accountant, I'm an accountant, I'm not just seeing the accounting alone, but I'm seeing how does this accounting help the organization to achieve its vision. And therefore, the bigger picture thinking is critical. And this is really a good story for every leader, just to be able to reflect through and also pass the same to our people as we continue to lead them. We'll look at very many definitions of leadership later on. But for now, I want just to start with this GLN definition. This is our own definition of leadership. And we're saying leadership is influence through inspiration. Many times we talk about leadership being influence, but we need to take it a step further. How do we influence? And we're saying it's influence through being inspirational, by manifesting authentic self, by authenticity, to maximize your potential and serve your purpose as you help others tap into their potential to positively impact humanity. It's really a package. It's a package in itself. We'll unpack this along the way, but we want just to have that background thinking of leadership as we start this journey, so that we have a common understanding of what the kind of leadership that we are looking at. And we're saying leadership is authenticated by servanthood, and greatness is a product of servanthood. And I think the best example I can give there is that example of Jesus washing the disciples' feet. It shows a lot of security as a leader. It shows a lot of humility in that leader. And it shows a leader that had a mission, and no role would really minimize his mission. His mission was very clear, and would undertake any role that will work towards fulfilling his mission. So this is our working definition that we'll want to think around this along the way. Some of the other key terms that we look at is a circle of influence, leadership circle of influence. And leadership circle of influence, it starts from the middle, it starts from the center, the center, the circle at the center there. And the first influence is based on what we call the personal influence. So leadership circle of influence starts from personal influence, then it goes to the private influence, where we're able now to influence the close people within us. It moves on to the corporate, the inner circle, to the organization, to the community, to the public, all the way to the national and the global. So we are looking at the leadership. Mostly we want to look at it, especially in level 1, at a personal level, because personal leadership is the foundation of all other forms of leadership. And I had most of you talking about that, the key quality of a leader being issues of character. That's part of the personal leadership, believing in empowerment, what we believe as leaders. So Nelson Mandela said, until I changed myself, I could not be able to change others. Yeah, I could not be able to change others. That's bringing it so close to ourselves. Mother Teresa, she said that if each of us would only sweep our own doorstep, the whole world will be clean. Again, bringing it so close to us that it's the initiative that I take, be able to work within my space. That space include personal space, and then moving around the private, the inner circle space, the family, the rest, and then moving to the corporate, moving to the community, the public, moving to national, and moving to global. But these all are anchored on that center of that circle, which is the personal. Again, we have another term that we'll keep on referring to, leadership pyramid of influence, related to the first one. And it builds on self-influence or personal influence, which builds to escalates to corporate influence, then national influence, and global influence. So as we continue to grow the influence, again, it's starting from self-influence as we grow upward. So great leaders start by leading themselves. They start by looking at how they're able to optimize what they have, and that is what influences others to also want to work together with this leader. So as we look at the leadership pyramid, that component of self-influence is also what we refer to as leading self. And the key words or the key issues or the key aspects of leading self is the clarity of vision, clarity of values and principles. Then it moves up to leading others, where we create a positive environment or positive influence. Then leading leaders. This is where now we start empowering leaders who are able to empower other leaders. And then we have leading movement. This is the highest level of leadership. Highest level of leadership is leaders of movements. And one of the movement is the movement of Jesus that has continued for years, still moving. Yeah, we have other examples of leaders that we have known in our times. Martin Luther King Jr., we have Mother Teresa, we have Nelson Mandela, and many, many other examples that we can mention of leaders who led movements. Why? Because they were leading for transformation and they were leading for a cause. So the highest form of leadership is where now a person starts leading for a cause, leading for transformation. This is a leader that is able to sacrifice to the highest level possible of leadership. Then we have another term that we'll also keep on repeating or revisiting, the 5 strategy of a global leader, the 5C strategy of a global leader. Already you have alluded to this in your introduction. And a global leader needs to embrace these 5 C's as part of the strategy of succeeding in our leadership spaces. So the first C is competency. A global leader focuses on issues of growth, perpetual growth, competency, growing in our either it might be hard skills, it might be in our technical area, but also soft skills in terms of leadership, soft skills in terms of relationships are also very important as part of the competency. So a global leader is a perpetual learner, is a competent person, is a person that believes we need to grow in skills, in knowledge, in exposure, and also in experience. Secondly, the second C is clarity. A global leader believes in clarity, the clarity of a vision. What is the desired state? What are we working towards? Remember the janitor He knew that this organization was there to put a man on the moon. It was clear that whatever we are doing it so that we can put a man on the moon. So clarity in terms of vision and also in terms of communication. And then we have character. Pastor Leonard, you have mentioned this. I think also Monica, you have mentioned this. Character, that is the third C of a global leader. Character, the purity of intention, the purity of strategies, the purity or the being one, the oneness, being one in different scenario, in different environments. We are able to predict that this person will behave the same, be it day, be it night, the person is doing the same. So we'll talk later on, we'll talk about the power of character in details. Then we have conviction, where we believe that there is a space that is for us to occupy. We have a space to occupy, we have a purpose to fulfill, and that conviction that I'm here to be able to fulfill a particular purpose or to serve a particular assignment, then we are able to really be obligated, to feel obligated that we need to arise and continue leading. Then compassion. We encourage leaders that we need to balance passion and compassion. We need to balance passion with compassion. There are times that we might be very passionate on some particular, it might be even a project, but again, we need to continuously be in relationship or relate with what is the prevailing circumstance of our people on the ground. And I could see this one coming very well with the story of Jesus. I'll keep on referring to the story of Jesus because most of us in this platform here are Christians or are born again. So allow me just to keep on referring to that. You could see how passionate Jesus was, but when he came across people who are in need, he could relate with them at that particular level, using that particular approach of meeting their needs. So balancing our passion and compassion, and also care and love. So these are the 5C strategy, or the 5C strategy of a global leader. We are saying a global leader appreciate competency, that we need to continue growing, clarity in terms of vision, character, that this is what safeguards us as leaders, conviction, that we are centered on purpose, we are leading for a purpose, and then compassion, that we need to lead with care, and also we need to lead with love. So this is part of the key terms that we'll again mention along the way. We'll also talk about the 6 I's and the 1 T of leadership. And the other 6 core principles that we'll talk about later on, they are anchored on this. So the 6 I's, we can say these are our identity as leaders. They are also probably the roles that we play. They are also some key aspects that we need to figure out as we lead. It's also part of what we understand leadership to be all about. Yeah, we can define leadership just looking at the 6 I's that we are talking about. So what are they? The first one, which we have already mentioned, is influence. The first I of a leader is influence. Then we have integrity, we have integration, we have inspiration, impact, and intelligence. And we can say that leadership is influence based on integrity, a life of integrity, based on integration, a leader who walks and integrates with the people. We normally say that a leader should have his or her head in the cloud, but the feet on the ground. See far, plan far ahead, but again, ensure that we are working together with the people. So we influence through integrity, through integration, through inspiration, through our lifestyle, and also through the impact, the transformation that the changes, the permanent or long-term changes that we are making within our environment, and also the intelligence by our continuous growth in knowledge, in understanding, in discernment, and all this adds up to transformation. So in a simplified way, this is how we look at leadership in terms of the 6 I's and the 1 T, that as we lead, we are influencing through integrity, through integration, through inspiration, through impact, through intelligence for transformation. So I think leaders, we can appreciate that as we build on these key terms, we'll continue escalating this discussion to higher level along the way. So leadership, as I've mentioned, is influenced through inspiration, integrity, integration, and intelligence to achieve high impact and transformation. So this is our second definition of leadership as GLN. Now, in the manual, already on page 8, this is where we have the 5 C's or the 6 I's. We added 1 I on page 8. So if you have your soft copy and you are filling, that's the part that you can fill, and then you continue on from page 8 again. We have the word influence in this manual. We are using it as an acronym, the word influence. So each letter represents a certain aspect of leadership. For example, the letter I, we are taking it as inspirational. The letter I in influence, we are taking it as inspirational. So leaders inspire others through passion, motivated by a vision and integrity. N is nurture, and Rose mentioned this, that leaders, we need to continue developing and empowering others to be able to empower this generation and other generations. So nurture is that we believe in self-growth and also in growing the leaders that we are working with. Focus, we need to focus on a vision and fruitfulness, and also focus our energy and our resources for maximum impact and productivity. Then L is learning and listening. We are saying leaders are perpetual learners. They continuously improve themselves, and also they are active and deep listeners. Then U stands for understanding. Leaders need to show care, and we need to balance a soft heart, which is care, and a hard heart, which is courage, to know when to wear which cape and when to use which aspect in terms of understanding. Then E is emotional intelligence. This is also a very key word nowadays. We talk a lot about emotional intelligence. So that's sensitivity to people's instincts and also being able to manage our emotions. So leaders are sensitive to their instincts and to people's needs, feelings, and also the environment. Then N is navigate. Leaders direct, they route the team, they steer the team towards a shared vision. And then we have C is communication or communicate. Leaders effectively communicate shared vision, direction, and values. And then finally we have E, which is exemplary. We are saying that leaders model the way. They know the way, go the way, and they also show the way. Yeah, so they understand that leadership is a lifestyle, is a daily business, and is more practiced than said, than talked about. So exemplary. So this is the acronym, and the leaders, you can take some time just to look at more details in your manuals from page 8 all the way to page 10. And page 10, there are answers. The answers to the blank spaces are indicated in page 10. So this is what sets the tone for our discussion. And we will build on these 5 C's and 6 I's as we'll be talking later on about the 6 core leadership principles. So in level 3, we'll talk about these 6 core leadership principles. The power of vision in leadership. We'll talk about the power of purpose in leadership. We talk about the power of character in leadership, the power of mentorship and succession in leadership, and then the power of personal development in leadership. And we'll conclude by looking at the power of effective communication in leadership, where we are saying leaders are great connectors. Great communicators are great connectors. So this is a picture of what is in what we're going to cover. And lesson 1 is just to be able to help us appreciate what is ahead of us, so that as we walk together, we'll be able to align along the way what we have already set as our foundation. So in every session, as I said, there's a leadership challenge, and this leadership challenge will be shared on the chat. as a link. So when you open this link, you'll be able to also undertake this leadership challenge. So for lesson 1, we are looking at the 6 I's and the 1 T, and this is the leadership challenge that evaluate yourself based on the 6 I's and the 1 T and identify areas of improvement. And you can rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5. In terms of influence, do you feel either, and we can look at this from the aspect of our leadership within the spaces that we are leading. How do we feel in terms of influence? Is it high? Is it average? Looking at intelligence, what is my culture of growth? Is it high? Is it very low? And those ones that you rate below average and very low, we need to focus on them and also draw an action plan on how you are able to address those particular areas. So that is lesson 1. That's lesson 1. And you allow me just to pause here for maybe 3 minutes and maybe take any reaction from your end or something that you feel you need to re-echo it to the other leaders. I don't know how the discussion is coming on your end. Is there something that you feel maybe you can add an additional comment, or something that you also feel like, wow, this is what I want to run with this week? So let me allow 3 minutes just for reflection, and then we'll conclude with lesson 2, which is again not long, as we bring the discussion to a close for today's session. So feel free, leaders, just to share your reflection either on the chat or just unmute and mention. Yeah, Pastor Abel, I've noted your comment. I'll respond to that. Okay, so let me allow some time just to reflect on what we have covered so far.
So far, this is Rose. I feel like we have really covered a lot more than I was expecting. We have quite a bit of information here. And one thing that stands out is that the wisdom we get, or the wisdom we are obtaining from these meetings and from these sessions, we're going to use it not just for ourselves, to develop our own selves first, but also to develop those who are, close to us, our first group being the family, and then we go on from there to become global leaders. So it's impactful, and it's something powerful that is right here, but we're just beginning to see what it will result in and what it will bring in our lives. So this is a good lesson. Not only is it going to connect us, because we're in different places, also we are connected globally, and we can just make those connections and start sharing. But the class itself is teaching us already how to cultivate ourselves, okay, and how to get moving as leaders.
Thank you so much, Rose Washira. We can take one more reaction, then we get to the second session, which will be also part of the final one for tonight.
It's for me, one of the things that has become a highlight is that as a leader, as I learn, there are also things that I need to unlearn, because in growing up on this topic of leadership, there's so many things that we have come across, but I'm believing that if I'm going to be a good leader, one of my greatest purpose is to have influence. So there are things that I need to as I learn, I also need to unlearn and relearn. Also, that in leadership, it's not only about learning, but I need to apply what I'm learning, that it brings change, it brings transformation. There must be transformation that must be seen in myself as a leader, as I'm learning, so that people can so that people can have faith in me, that they can follow me as a leader, that they can listen to me as a leader, that they can say the path I'm walking is a path that will take them somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Abel. I think maybe for the rest, if there is any reflection, any comment you may wish to share, we'll open the chat platform. So feel free anytime just to post something there. We'll be able to look at it even as we continue with the final discussion tonight. So I just want to move on to lesson 2. And lesson 2 is part of the background. And this is why we started this masterclass. One of the goals was to address the leadership gap, because there are many surveys, there are many articles that have indicated that indeed there is a leadership gap in various, globally. This is globally. It's affecting many organizations, many families, many countries are being affected by this issue of the leadership. The leadership vacuum, or what we are calling also the leadership crisis. And I'll open this by sharing this story of MV Seoul. This is a ship that sank in Korea in 2014. And out of 476 passengers and crew, 304 died in the disaster. This included 250 students from a high school. So approximately 172 survivors were rescued. And what happened is that as the passengers stayed in their cabin, as they were instructed by the captain, Captain Lee and his crew, they abandoned the ship. And they were actually the first people to be rescued, and they left the rest of the passengers in the ship. And this is what caused actually many deaths. Yeah. So some passengers followed the announcement as instructed by the captain to stay put. Even as the water continued flowing into the ship, most of the students, they obeyed the announcement. However, some passengers disobeyed the announcement. They climbed to the top of the ship, jumped into the water, and these are the ones that were rescued. So I don't know, just listening to this story, I know there are so many aspects of leadership that we can pick from this story. There's more details about this case. I've just highlighted a few areas or a few issues, but there's quite a lot. One of the reasons why the Korean president during that time was jailed, this is among the other reasons. This is among one of them. There were a number of issues that were raised. And this was also included because they felt she didn't act on time and she had the power, and they felt she didn't handle this issue as it should have been handled. And other issues that were raised about her, misuse, abuse of office, not directly, but indirectly through other people. And as we are talking now, she's serving a 30-year jail in cell. That was a sitting president that was convicted by the court, and through that conviction, she was jailed. And I think I may just want you to take some time just to think about this story, and then when we'll be concluding the discussion, we can be able to share our own perspective about this case as we talk about what are the possible gaps that maybe we are able to identify from this story. So we're talking about the leadership gap, and James Strock, he wrote that everyone can lead because everyone can serve. There are many leaders, but there is very little leadership. Yeah, very, very many leaders, yet there is very little leadership that is demonstrated. And not every leader is leading. Not every leader is leading. Because now when we come to the concept of leadership, again, now here we are actually not looking at the title, we're actually looking at that demonstration of leadership, the demonstration of influence, the demonstration of empowerment, the demonstration of people skills, people ability to be able to relate and work together with people. There are cases where someone might have a title but is not the one leading, because there's someone who has that ability to be able to influence people positively. So we are talking about leaders, not just in terms of that we have the positions. Positions are good, they are okay, but again, what the value that we bring is really what speaks out. So there's a survey that was done by World Economic Forum on the global outlook, and it identified the lack of leadership as the number 3 global challenge that is facing organizations. It is 6% of the responses agreed that there is a leadership crisis. And probably, even if we are to do this survey today in our institutions, maybe we might also get close or the same kind of results, because these are the issues that we are experiencing in different areas. Sometimes we see people and you feel like, wow, I think we are lacking leadership. I think we need to better our leadership, either at a personal level or even the other people that we are seeing within our leadership spaces. So we are saying there's a leadership gap, and this leadership gap is what called for us to be able to escalate this discussion about leadership. Many stories are told about Africa. Many stories. Africa remains a net importer of food, although it has 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land. This is what we were saying. An organization might be resourced, a country might be resourced, a person might be resourced, but the missing link is now the leadership, because it's the leadership that unlocks that potential. Rose talked about a leader who is able to discern what is the best way we can exploit this potential. What is the best way we can exploit this resource? We can use this resource for the benefit of everyone. So it's estimated that if all the arable land in Africa were to be cultivated with the right information and knowledge to farmers from credible research institutions and other technical expertise, Africa will be able to feed over 60% of the world population by 2050. Yeah, by 2050. So this is among the gaps that we can be able to identify. If we look at this picture, especially those of us from Kenya, we look at these pictures, it speaks a lot about leadership. Look at Uchumi, look at Nakumat. These are supermarkets that existed and now they are no longer there. And maybe one of the aspects, again, that we can point out to is the aspect of leadership. Either there were leaders who did demonstrate good leadership, or there were leaders maybe who were also probably greedy. They mismanaged the institutions. There are leaders probably who used their positions for their own benefit. And sometimes even when we call them leaders, we feel like we are not using the right title, because when you're talking about leadership or leaders, then there are qualities that are attributed to that identity of leadership. Center for Creative Leadership, this is a resource that I recommend. It's an institution that is doing quite a lot on issues of leadership. They identified a number of leadership areas that are weak. The 4 most important future skills, which are also among the weakest competencies for today's leaders. So these areas include leaders who are able to inspire, inspirational leaders who are able to lead employees, not just manage employees, but lead employees, be able to work together with employees. In lesson 6, we'll talk about leadership vis-a-vis management. And I think this will also become out clear. Then the other gap is leaders who are strategic leaders who are good in strategic planning, leaders who are able to show us 50 years, 100 years to come, and help us to appreciate the long-term thinking or the long-term planning. Again, the other weakest competency area is change management, leaders who are able to help us to manage change. Yeah, we said we are living in a dynamic world, a lot of changes, a lot of shifts within the environment. Again, we need people who are able to synchronize. This is where we are, this is where we are heading to, and how do we transition from this current state to the new state that we are already probably experiencing. So these are some of the weakest competences, the areas that needs to be addressed as part of the leadership gap. Among many others, there's another study that also identified other areas by the NBO group. This is from Asia. They were asked, one of the questions was, what are the leadership needs in your organization? Which also part of the leadership gaps. You can see 67% said leaders who inspire trust. 63% leaders who communicate effectively. 61 leaders who build effective teams. Then 58 leaders or transformational leaders. And then leaders who develop others through coaching and mentorship. That's 56%. Then finally, we had innovative leaders. They felt we need leaders who are innovative. So these are some of the gaps, and this is also part of what we are addressing in our discussion. American Productivity and Quality Center also undertook another survey, and they identified top leadership skill deficiencies, which include strategic planning, change management, knowledge sharing, leaders who are able to share knowledge, pass the knowledge to other people, what we call generativity, giving back to society or to other leaders. Again, leaders were able to listen, and the aspect of emotional intelligence was also picked out as an area that requires to be addressed. So the causes, what are the causes of this leadership gap? One is that leadership is underfunded, is outdated, and is also resisted. This is according to this study. Yeah. So the solution is that we need to embrace capacity building, developing leadership capabilities in our people. Because only 8% of participants reported that they have been capacity built, they have been empowered, they have been trained. And I think this is really worrying, because if out of that survey, 8% indicated they had been equipped, then it means 92% didn't have some sort of training or capacity building or empowerment to be able to lead. And I think this is something that really attracts our attention, and is something that needs to be addressed. And this is what triggered us to be able to come up with this masterclass. So as we work on this, we're also looking at the leadership skills that are key, which are also identified by careerexperts.com. Some of the key leadership skills, 10 of them, actually there are 10 of them. The issue of communication, the issue of inspiration, positivity, the issue of honesty and integrity, leaders who are able to solve problems, leaders who are expert. Yeah, the best leaders build on their technical and professional skills over time. And then creativity. As a leader, you have to make a number of decisions that do not have a clear answer. Yeah. Then flexibility. Yeah. Accepting whatever changes come our way and adapting to the environment. And then delegation. We are saying top leaders know how to delegate without micromanaging their team. Then the last skill is mentorship. Mentoring. Great bosses or great leaders pull the very best out of their people. They're able to identify, coach, and inspire the people, and to be able to tap into their strength. So these are the areas that, again, that we'll be working on in this discussion. So as we conclude, we are saying the survey identified also 5 steps to help organizations or individuals to bridge this leadership gap. And this will be a continuous journey for the 12 weeks, because we need first to perform a leadership needs assessment. What are the gaps? What are the areas that we feel needs to be addressed? And already I think we are thinking along this line. We're already trying to identify, are there issues that I need probably to start working on more? Are there issues that I need to tighten my belt in terms of equipping myself? So perform a leadership needs assessment, create a leadership strategy. How do I bridge this gap? Need to come up with a strategy. a clear timeline, clear goals, clear objectives, then develop a clear specific goals and strategies for addressing the leadership gap, and then make it something that is continuous, create a system. This is how I'll do it. This is how I'll work around these areas. Maybe these are the trainings I need to attend. These are what the particular approaches that can be able to work for us. And then how do we evaluate? So I'm just painting a picture, but we'll get into the details of this discussion. But just good to note that this is what the survey identified. So now for us is to be able to start looking at these issues in details as we embark on more discussions along the way. Now, the leadership challenge for lesson 2. As stewards of this present age, we must face the challenge of developing, training, releasing, and reproducing a generation of leaders who can secure this generation and the next generations. So you will take some time to reflect on the 3 questions from the above, which are also mentioned in the manual. So we look at the questions in the manual, but don't worry if you don't have the manual. Again, we'll do the question. The link will have these 3 questions. So we'll look at these 3 questions. They are on page 14, and then we'll reflect on these 3 questions and be able to respond on what the questions are guiding us to. I think I had shared this link. Some of you might have already undertaken this questionnaire or this challenge. So if you already did it, you may not need to redo it this week. But those of us who didn't fill the questionnaire, I will resend this so that we can be able to fill the questionnaire. So leaders, that brings us to the end of the 2 lessons, the introduction and the 2 lessons. I know sometimes we cover a lot in a very short time. That's why we encourage that if you get some time, please just listen to the YouTube link again, and also take some time just to look at the topics in the manual, just to help us deepen our understanding on these concepts that we have discussed. So that brings us to the end of today's discussion, and maybe as we bring it to a close, I think it's fair enough just to allow each of us a minute just to share your reflection, and then we'll be able to stop there for today. And maybe I can start with Pastor Abel. Any comment as we bring the discussion to a close?
Thank you so much. For me, I think there's so much of highlights and take in. And I think one of the things I need to do is to apply what I've learned. I think I've taken a lot than I thought, but I think what's needed for now is to apply what I've learned as we carry on with the journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Abel. I'll move on to Pastor Leonard.
Yes, thank you very much, facilitator, for bringing this program together. It has a lot of insights that we are learning already. I liked the 5 C's for the reader. It's very comprehensive and very practical to take on and move on with this great journey. Yeah, we expect to get more insights as we continue learning together. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Leonard. I appreciate that. Monica. Monica Mtinda, your reflection. Probably I'll get back to Monica later on. Let me move on to Rose Washira.
Oh, right. It's a really one word. I never really took the time to think of what the purpose-driven leadership is, but this is an eye-opener. So it's beginning to look like the way, the details that we need to bring that purpose that you already have maybe in your heart, or, but to bring it to others, to become a leader. So this is a very impactful. We learned a lot in one day. So I think we're continuing with growth in the next 6 weeks. So yeah, thank you so much for starting this program.
Thank you so much. We appreciate. Monica?
Yeah, thank you very much for the facilitation. Actually, I've gathered a lot, and mostly on the area of character, because the character is just what you have to look into the mirror yourself. You start with your own, and then you have to identify even gaps within yourself. Because what captured my attention was that change, which has to start within myself. As you said, Mandela quoted that until I changed myself, I could not change others. So I'm so much encouraged and challenged to look into myself and see maybe there are those gaps within myself that I cannot even impact others until I start with myself. So thank you very much. I hope to continue learning a lot and also be able also to share what I have. Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a good facilitation.
So thank you so much, leaders. We appreciate, and I think we've maximized our time. So we'll pause there for today. We'll pick it up from here on next week on Sunday. We have a very tricky balancing of time. For us, it's 7 a.m. For Monica, it's 7 p.m. So we had to get a compromise of 2 p.m. for Kenya and Tanzania, and 1 p.m. for Zimbabwe, so that at least we are able to take care of each and every one of us. So we'll try to always be on time. We'll be starting at 2 p.m. I know for Pastor Abel and Pastor Leonard, it's tricky being pastors, and I know Sundays how tricky it can be for pastors. We really want to recognize that and appreciate that you're able to make your time to be with us, and you also committing to be with us for this for the 12th week. Actually, now it's 11 week. Week 1 is gone for the 11 weeks that are ahead of us. So thank you so much. Just request that we unmute and share the words of grace as we conclude today's discussion. So I request we kindly unmute. Okay, and so may the grace
Of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now
and forever.
forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all.
Amen.
Have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I say
Thank you.
good
Bye-bye.
night.
Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rose, have a good day. You're just starting your day. Wish you a blessed day.
Yes, just beginning.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Myself.